Grocery prices have jumped nearly 25% in the last couple of years, and I think everybody is feeling it. For the next few weeks, I'll be sharing elegant poverty budget meals and homemaking tips for overwhelmed women who want to live with class and elegance on a low income, or who simply want to steward their means well. It is the dead of winter, and it is freezing outside. Things don't slow down on our mountain homestead. This is the time of the year for academics. It's also the time of year I like to do an elegant winter pantry tip that saves us so much money in our frugal homemaking. We rely on pantry staples for quick meals, but store-bought canned beans can be expensive, overly salty, and honestly, they kind of taste like the can they came in. Today, I'm gonna show you a better way. I'm gonna turn one of the cheapest foods you can buy, a simple bag of dried beans, and I'm gonna show you how to turn it into an elegant, ready-to-use pantry staple that makes dinner easy even on the days you forgot to plan ahead. This method intimidates a lot of people, but once you see it, you'll realize it's far simpler than you think. And I'm going to show you how the beans can be made far more digestible and flavorful than anything from a can. There is something so calming about opening the pantry on a busy, crazy weeknight and seeing a whole bunch of jars of beans canned and sitting there just waiting. I know a lot of us are kind of struggling underneath the grocery prices lately, and so I want to show you how you can take beans and make a beautiful and elegant meal with them. I've had quite a few people in my audience ask me how I feed my large family of 8 so affordably, and beans are one of the key ingredients, but if you don't like beans, that can be a problem. I used to hate beans until I learned a variety of different ways to cook them, and now I don't mind them. I actually enjoy them. So what I'm going to be doing is, I guess, a series of sorts where I'm going to take you through how to elevate beans and make beans into an elegant dish. There is an elegant winter pantry tip that can save you so much money when it comes to frugal homemaking and cooking with beans. Now, before I tell it to you, I want you to brace yourself. Maybe sit down. Don't run away. Don't click away when I tell you what it is. Please just give it a moment to give it a shot and hear me out before you run away shrieking. The way I'm going to preserve these beans is a way that intimidates so many homemakers, but I promise you, it doesn't need to. This way of preserving is something I've been doing for over 30 years, and I've never once had a mishap despite the fact I have ADHD and become highly distractible. Today I'm going to take you through the beautiful and traditional skill of pressure canning beans. I'm not going to bore you with the whole process and all of the steps. We're going to talk about more interesting things. Well, in the background, I just kind of show you through the process and how easy it is so that you're not so afraid of trying this out yourself. The first thing I do want to tell you is that they don't make pressure canners like they used to. Used to be that with the old pressure canner, and if that's what you have, is an older pressure canner or a pressure canner that doesn't have safety features, then yeah, you would need to worry and keep an eye on it so that it doesn't explode. But most pressure canners today, and the kind that I recommend that everybody have, is ones with the emergency pressure releases, because they are much safer. This is definitely a labor of love with a massive payoff, because you can pressure can beans and it essentially is like 3 or 4 times savings than it is if you were to buy the beans in a can. Beans are super cheap. In themselves, they are not that elegant, especially if you consider the after effect for a lot of people. So I'm going to talk about that and how you can make them more digestible so that beans really do become elegant. We're going to start with soaking of the beans. You can buy beans in a can, and yes, they are super cheap that way, but I'm going to show you a little price breakdown right here that is going to surprise you. While I was cooking these beans up, I had my daughters do a little math experiment. 1 pound of beans will cook to about 4 cans of cooked beans. You can see the price difference here. Now, it might not look like that much. In my area, you can see we can buy 4 cans of beans for about $3.44, or we could buy
a pound of dried beans for $1.50, which will cook up into about 4 cans. Doesn't seem like that much of a savings, but if you have a larger family, or if you're on a very tight budget, or let's say you only have $20 to spend for the week on groceries, well, that's when every little bit counts. Beyond that, there are actual health reasons to buy your beans dry. Of course, the first reason is, as we just said, the price breakdown. They're way cheaper. The second reason is you can make them more seasoned. You can also make them have less sodium, so you can put less salt in them. The third and final reason is you can use a cooking process for beans that I'm going to explain in this video that greatly reduces how should I say this? Well, you remember that old saying, beans, beans, the musical fruit, beans, beans, they make you toot. Well, the way I'm going to show you how to cook them or explain how to cook them can greatly reduce that, and for some people, even eliminate that effect, but only if you buy them dry and cook them yourself.
Years ago, I was watching, I think it was Good Eats. It was an Alton Brown show, and he talked about how to cook beans to have the least amount of negative impact, if you catch my drift.
Here are a couple ways to make beans more digestible and less unpleasant after effects. Introduce the beans slowly into your diet. So start with a very small amount, maybe like 1/4 cup or less if they really impact you negatively. Then wait a couple days and gradually start increasing the amount of beans you eat. This helps your body adjust and helps with any kind of digestive problems for most people. The second is to try digestive enzymes. Look for Beano. I will link to it below, but you can find it at most grocery stores, or just plain digestive enzymes with your meals. Check with your doctor first, of course. The third way is to soak and sprout your beans. Now, I do a combination of all three of these, by the way, but when you soak your beans for like 1 to 2 days, rinsing the water 2 to 3 times daily, which is important. They'll get slimy if you don't. But if you do that, and then once they're soaked, bring them to a boil, then pour off the water, then bring them to a boil again, pour off the water again, and do this a couple times. It all drastically reduces negative after effects. At least it does for us. But always soak your beans anyways. At a minimum, soaking them overnight before cooking. This is supposed to make them much easier to digest, especially if you're not used to eating them regularly.
Now, you can see in this pot, I have these beans. Look at all of this foam. Now, what do you think that does when we eat it in the gut? I'm just assuming that that's where the negative impacts come from.
I like to do the few rounds of boiling the beans to where there is not as much foam. And once you see less foam, that's when you know, okay, let's go ahead and cook them now. There are all kinds of ways to cook beans. The Instant Pot does a wonderful job of cooking beans. It makes them so delicious and so tender and creamy. But I will tell you, the pressure canner does it as well. Look at all that foam here, by the way. So that's what we want to get rid of. Now, when you cook your beans in the pressure canner, it too makes the most soft and delicious and creamy beans. You end up saving money in the long run. Now, there is still electricity that is spent, and that is something you need to consider. Like, is that trade-off worth your time? Is it worth your money? For us, it is, because we eat a lot of beans as a large family. During these cold winter months, I like to heat up the house this way too. It makes the kitchen nice and warm, and we can use less firewood in the wood stove, because with the stove going, it helps to warm the place up. So we save money on firewood that way. When you're doing this process, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to boil the beans for too long. Here's the rule of thumb when you're cooking beans, whether you decide to do it in the pressure canner or if you decide to do it on the stovetop. Now, I don't recommend the stovetop. I actually recommend either a slow cooker or an Instant Pot if you're going to just cook them and not pressure can them. The reason why is because beans like to cook low and slow. If you cook them fast and high, they end up with really tough skins and they don't taste as good. They fall apart. They'll just kind of like disintegrate too. So basically, you get this weird combination of creaminess and tough skins. I've been a frugal homemaker for decades, and I've learned so many different tricks along the way. One of them is that cooking from scratch always saves so much money. And another one is that preserving your own foods it can be a trade-off. Sometimes it is cheaper, sometimes it's actually more expensive. So you really have to look at the prices. If you have to go buy a bunch of food to preserve, let's say you have to go buy a case of peaches, and the peaches is going to cost you $35 a case. It might actually be cheaper just to buy the jelly, okay? Not everything is going to save you money to can or pressure can. Another neat thing that I've learned through the years is that so many of these skills that we consider homesteading skills are actually just old-fashioned homemaking skills. I love to learn more old-fashioned homemaking skills, partially because I love history. I'm a history nut, I guess you could say. And I think that one of the most enjoyable homesteady or old-fashioned homemaking skills that there is pressure canning and just canning, water bath canning. One of my most favorite aspects to homemaking is water bathing and pressure canning. I love preserving food this way. So we live on a homestead. We grow so much of our own food each summer. And I think everybody who grows a garden and preserves food runs into this problem. Around maybe this time of year, maybe earlier for some families, probably definitely starting in the beginning of January, maybe the end of December, you start getting a collection of empty jars as you are eating down your pantry. Well, what do you do with them? Some people like to can water in them just in case of an emergency. But if you think about it, as you're eating down all of that nice food that you preserved up the summer before, you're going to start getting more and more and more jars. Perhaps you already have a whole bunch, and they're just going to sit there for another 8 months, 7 months, 8, maybe 9 months, empty, unless you do something else with them. This is what I like to do with them so that I don't have a bunch of empty jars sitting there on the shelf, taking up space and not being used for anything important. I also absolutely love knowing that on those busiest of summer nights or summer evenings that I have got backup beans in the pantry. All I have to do is open the can. They're done. I don't have to thaw them out. So on those really busy summer days where we're bringing in a whole bunch from the garden and I'm preserving, we have a bunch of vegetables, but we need another protein or something, I've got the beans. And honestly, they really do taste so much better. The beans in the can taste like the can. But let's talk about what you can do with those canned beans. There's Cuban black beans and rice, which is what I'm going to show you how to make today. It's one of our favorites. And when you have summer produce like summer tomatoes, summer peppers, summer green chilies, or serranos is what we love, what I love. Half the family loves serranos, the other half loves jalapenos. But you can take all of the fresh produce that's coming in and you can make the most wonderful bowl of beans and rice. We call them Cuban black beans and rice because they're cooked with cumin and all kinds of spices. You can serve them over rice and top them with a bunch of beautiful veggies. What we like to do is simmer our beans with some garlic, cumin, top them with some fresh diced onions, tomatoes, cheese, and chimichurri. If you want the recipe, it is on the blog. I will put it in the description box below. The result is a absolutely beautiful bowl of beans that looks appetizing and is even good enough to wow company. But this isn't all you can do with them. Another one of our favorite things is to open them up, season them, heat them up, and serve them over nachos. And that's probably our top summertime easy lunch. You can also do taco salad. So again, just season them up with some chili powder, some sauteed onions, and make yourself up a taco salad with all the fresh greens you're getting from the garden. Now, I don't know how well this next idea will work because I still need to try it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work just fine because the recipe I used called for canned beans. So pretty sure it's going to work great. And this idea is to make black bean burgers. I found the most wonderful recipe. My entire family devoured them just the same as they would hamburgers. Hamburgers are one of our favorite meals, and it's been so expensive lately. So we tried black bean burgers. My husband had 4. I don't even know how many the other kids had. I'm just glad that I made as many as I did because they disappeared and there was none left over. They loved them so much they raved. The recipe I will be sharing with you later on, probably this month, so be sure you come back for that. Well, friend, this is what frugal elegance looks like. Taking the simplest ingredients, applying timeless skills, and creating something that is beautiful and delicious, that nourishes both body and soul. If this video was enjoyable, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me some of your favorite frugal living habits. What are some of your favorite frugal pantry staples? Don't forget, we're going to be talking more in depth, and I'll be giving more affordable recipes throughout the coming weeks. So if you would like to see those, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for all notifications. Don't forget to check out my homemaking courses in the description box below. And if you would like to know how to pressure can beans and water bath foods, you can join me on Patreon.
We were made for each other.